And welcome to the video lecture on the second normal form. So the second normal form, of course, comes after the first normal form, and so what you can consider is I've seen this in other texts, is a set of concentric circles. So in order for something to be in second normal form, it has to start off in first normal form. So it has to satisfy all the criteria and constraints associated with the first normal form. And then something to be in second normal form is that every non-key attribute is fully functionally dependent on the entire primary key. Right? So that means every non-key attribute must be defined by the entire key, not only by part of the key, and there should be no partial functional dependencies. We've talked about that in the video lecture on functional dependencies. So if we go back to that invoice thing, which is now in first normal form, let's just look at what the relation looks like. So here's the relation associated with the thing that we were working with previously in the first normal form. This is basically the invoice, right? So we've got an order ID, the order date. We went through this with the functional dependency video, but we have order ID functionally determining order date, customer ID, customer name, customer address, because we can't have an order ID that's associated with more than one customer, right? We have customer ID also defines customer name and customer address. So right there we've got order ID and customer ID going into transitive dependencies. We've got product ID, which functionally determines product description, product finish, product standard price. And then we've got the full dependency between order ID and the combination of order ID and product ID to order quantity. So because we have non-key attributes defined by more than one key, not only part of the keys, and because we have partial functional dependencies in here, this relation is in first normal form, but it's not in second normal form. So in order to do that, and again, this gets into that the comment in the video on the steps in normalization, is that now, as we're normalizing, what typically happens is we have to break larger relations into smaller relations, so we lose duplicated data, and in this case we more accurately define functional dependency. So we get to this. So now we've taken that one big invoice relation and we've broken it down into three smaller relations where the partial dependencies, right? So where the partial dependencies? The partial dependencies were order ID, and all the order date, the customer ID, the customer name, the customer address, and the partial dependencies associated with product ID. So here we've got our product ID and our order ID taken out, so they are their own entities. So we have customer order is now a relation in second normal form. And again, you should notice that here that the extra theme, customer ID, customer name, customer address, really should be broken out, because that is a transitive dependency. That's what happens in the third normal form. So here we've got order ID and product ID. The combination of that functionally determine what the order quantity is. And again, that's our associative entity. So I've said this before, but I'll say it again. You probably don't have to do this to your project. This is really for your edification to know how to go through the normal forms and why some entities and tables are the way they are is typically because of normalization. So we have our product, which is actually in, so order line, the first, is actually in third normal form. Our product is in third normal form because all of the non-key attributes, which is product description, product finish, product standard price, are all determined by the product ID. The customer order, which is the last one, is only in second normal form because it still contains a transitive dependency, which is the customer name and customer address being identified not only by customer ID but also by order ID. So the partial dependencies are removed, but they're still transitive dependencies. But that's how we get into second normal form. So that ends this video, and then we'll continue the next video in the third normal form.